Welcome to the Making Up the Numbers podcast. The Making Up the Numbers podcast is sponsored by Hope Technology, J-Tech Suspension, Revolution Bike Park, Ride Southern Spain, Schwal, and the world's finest independent mountain bike magazine, Singletrack.
Hello and welcome to episode 6 of season 5. It's only been 6 weeks since the last episode, but it feels like a lifetime ago. We've had 4 huge races in that time, and we'll be working our way through those shortly. Then we'll be joined by the winner of the Ligier World Cup, Benoit Coulanges, before closing out the show with a few predictions for the final 2 World Cups of the season and some team rumours. Jack, Emmy, let's get into it, and let's start with Worlds. Can you remember that far back?
No.
Neither.
Well, I've written a few bits, so we've got some scripts. So firstly, can I just say a big thank you to everyone I met when I was up in Fort William, from Charlie Hatton's mum to Ryan Pinkerton's dad. Everyone, it seems, loves the pod, and you never get tired of hearing nice things about the things you do, so thank you. In the junior women, it was a Kiwi 1-2-3. Iris van Leuven took the win, with Poppy Lane grabbing silver and Sasha Ernest bronze. So, first question, Emmy. Are these girls all first-year juniors, and just how good are they going to be?
I think they all are, to be honest. And also, it was pretty funny because, of course, Jenna Hastings was the reigning world champ. So, obviously, she was like very interested, and she watched the race, and then passing on her like world jersey to another Kiwi was very special to her. And I feel like, yeah, they're all going to be like, Sasha got picked up actually by Track Factory Racing, like only just before Worlds. So she raced on a track bike and she hadn't really ridden it. So she was struggling a little bit, because I think she's shown like that she has probably the most raw speed of the 3. But she still like makes a lot of mistakes, and also like obviously like with the new bike and everything, she had to like get into it, but she still got bronze. And Poppy Lane was like also someone that we didn't see much so far, but she proved to be like very strong. I think like Kiwis have proven also in other categories to be fast in Fort William before, so yeah, it was very good to see.
Cool. And in junior men, Henry Kiefer took the win, but then crashed out in Andorra, so we haven't had much chance to see more of him in the stripes, but hopefully he's on the mend. In elite women, Rachel and Nina had big crashes in practice, but still raced, which surprised a lot of people, including myself. Louise Ferguson had a great result in 4th, Marine in 3rd, Cammy 2nd with a smooth run, but she didn't really risk it. Is that pretty accurate, Emmy?
Well, she crashed in qualies, and that was like very unusual for her.
Yeah. And
she crashed in Val di Sol also the weekend before as well. So I think it was like, it's not that she didn't want to risk it or whatever, but there's something going on there. I was like a little bit like out of her character. So because she slid out completely like unexpected in quali, and her bike didn't feel right. The bike was better for final, she said, but yeah, I think her run was like close to take the win. And Valley has always been strong in Fort William before. Valley did mistakes in the past, so I think her run was like good, but she didn't really risk it. But I think also because she crashed in the run before.
I don't know if you guys saw it, but Valley posted a helmet cam on there after the first day of practice, and I looked at it, and I remember seeing it was like 5 minutes 5 seconds, and when I went and looked, the guys weren't going much quicker than the national, if anything, if quicker than the national, and that was already 5 seconds faster than Nina's winning time at the national. And I thought, Christ, she's going to take some beating here. Did you see that? Or
didn't actually? No.
I didn't see it, but the course was a little bit different than national, so I don't know if you can really compare. But it was definitely faster as well, the way they like worked on the course. But Valley has been so strong this year, and also like she always liked the course. She always did good there. Yeah. So I wasn't surprised at all. I don't think he would take a lot like for Cam to beat her, and especially Nina was not on the best weekend with a crash the first day on the head and then crashes after crashes. So I think Camille's silver was like her last medal that she missed on the set, so she was still kind of happy with her run.
She's stoked. In the men's, the weather played a huge part. Greg Williamson, who was a rather controversial final selection for Team GB, was leading for a long time with a dry run. My pick, Danny Hart, was going good until he lost time on the motorway. But Charlie Hatton put one together. Jack, you picked Charlie for the win. Was it track knowledge in those conditions? Was it just holding it together when others didn't? What do you think separated Charlie from the rest?
Yeah, I think it was a bit of everything on the day, wasn't it? The run was awesome, and it clearly clicked for him. And I've kind of been waiting for Charlie to put a result down for a while, and I'm surprised it was winning Worlds. I thought he'd get a World Cup podium before he did that, but yeah, I think everybody who knows Charlie was absolutely over the moon.
Yeah. Obviously, he's out injured now, and I think he might be having an operation today, because I did speak to him about coming on tonight. So heal fast, Charlie. The big question, though, do you think he'll go on and win a World Cup now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think it's just becoming more and more like whoever's good at the time is in with a shout on a win. And as we saw last week, especially with, I know Loic ended up 5th, but like he was off the boil all weekend and he was happy with his 5th place, and Finn wasn't in the mix. Whereas earlier in the season, they were right, especially Finn was right there. So yeah, you can't rule Charlie out in future years of him just building on this. He's one of the best bike handlers on the circuit for sure, and he's certainly got some confidence behind him now. So yeah, I definitely wouldn't be ruling him out on wins, but I honestly think the days of someone just consistently winning races, those days have to be over. There's just too many top guys fighting over tenths of seconds.
Yeah.
So look at Sunday or Saturday, top 4, 319, 0.6 separating the podium. It's fucking ridiculous. It's exciting. It's ridiculous.
Before we move on, I have to ask if either of you know what exactly happened in Fort William with Greg Minnaar. P8 in quali, a flat in his race run, and you think, oh, that's unlucky. But then in an interview afterwards, he's not too happy. He says, we weren't prepared for the weather, and you see the photos after. I didn't notice at the time, but you see the photos after and he's gloveless, which is really unusual. And then you go to Andorra and Lyle's been moved on to other duties and Greg's got a new mechanic. Have you heard any more about that?
Honestly, you've told me things there that I didn't know. So,
so I've heard he's switched mechanics.
Yeah.
But I don't know like what happened. I know he had a lot of mechanicals this year, but I haven't had any details. But yet, obviously, he's always been a contender on this track, and he was riding well in practice, like way better than the rounds like before. And even in the rounds before, when he wasn't riding, like I felt like the pace of the other, who was still like right there before he had a flat tire or whatever. So I was like, oh, he's on. And then he had like in that tight turn, he obviously made that mistake of pushing too hard or whatever with his weight. And I don't know what about the other stuff, but it definitely seemed to like have helped a little bit because he was pretty on it after that.
Yeah.
So
I zoomed into the photo of him gloveless as well, and it looked like he was running an Asa guy on the front, and I was like, yeah, that's probably about right. I don't think would he have changed tyres in those conditions, Jack?
At Fort William?
Yeah.
I'm not sure because I don't run Maxis. I can't.
I wouldn't say. I think most of them had that or DHRs. I wouldn't
Yeah, it looked
go
like
to more aggressive, you meant.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
It didn't look like, they got to the top and he'd gone, right, let's put some different wheels on, and they didn't have them. But then it seems a bit brutal if it's just over some gloves,
it's like Emilie said, he's had a lot of mechanicals, and then, to be honest, was Andorra the first race run he'd finished? Like this year he's almost gone through every quali and every race, every semi-final, just on the merit of that number 10 board.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because of his mechanicals. So, sometimes it's just you need a change, and maybe the syndicate just sat down and went, right, things aren't working, let's just mix things up. I mean, I that's just hypothetical. I literally don't know anything that's been said, but yeah, as Emilie said, the changes have worked because he's back in the mix.
Yeah, He is
Holding
banging
him
him
in the
now.
7th, so.
On to Andorra then, and so many talking points here. We could probably do a whole show about Andorra, I think, but let's start by saying I bet ESO thank the Lord that they had another race straight after, because this was a car crash, really. Let's start with Adam Brayton. It seems inconceivable that the 55th ranked rider in the current standings didn't have enough points to race a World Cup. I know you've got some strong views on this one, Jack.
Yeah, I mean, before the pod, I promised myself I was going to take some advice from Thumper out of Bambi, and if I haven't got anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So I am going to moderate myself because the last 3 weeks have been, a bit of a shit show. But I mean, I used Brayton as an example purely because he is a rider who has raced 2 semi-finals, secured 47 UCI points, or World Cup Series points. We have to now distinguish between. We never had distinguished between that before. Now, all of a sudden, we have to distinguish between that just for semi-finals, not for qualifying or race, but for semi-finals. Apparently, there's something different, which is purely an oversight. They've gone, let's not give the top 30 points twice in semi-finals and finals, so we won't give anyone points for semis. So they've forgotten all about the riders between 31st and 60th in the semis. So what this means is you could qualify 21st at every World Cup because points go down to 20th in qualifying. You could then finish 31st in every semi-final. This would laughably give you a top 30 overall because of the consistency. You'd probably end up, somewhere between 25th and 30th in the World Cup overall at the end of the season. But if you had done no other races other than World Cups on the UCI website, you wouldn't exist. You would have 0 UCI points. So you would be a top 30 World Cup rider, having raced every round and 31st in every semi, and they wouldn't give you any acknowledgement for being there. And it's purely an oversight. It's just, once again, them looking at the top people and going, that's all we give a shit about. Everyone else can, sail off down the river. We don't care. So I used Brayton as an example because he had a top 60 overall, which just made it laughable. Dan Slack, my teammate, is affected by it. Dan's now back riding. And if he wanted to come to America, despite finishing 31st in Lenzerheide, and with those points and his Portugal points, he has more than 40, he still wouldn't be allowed to race Snowshoe and Mont St. Anne on merit. He would have to apply for a BC jersey. It's also happened to Taylor Vernon and probably a few other people. So, yeah, Brayton was the prime example, but it's not just him it affected. And it's just another one of those many oversights that this new organizer has done this year, where they've just clearly not been aware of everything they need to be aware of.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like the UCA points have not been changed. Like the annex of the rule book hasn't been changed. It still says final 1st to 60th, but because there's only 30 people or 31st people or 32nd people in final, these people will get points, like UCI points, but
you don't get points below 30th, so they'll give you points.
So you're 31st. You have UCI points, but you don't have World Cup
series points. So in Andorra, we cancelled semis. So us guys racing the final in Andorra, which was the semi and the final together.
So they got the UCI points, did they? Not, I don't know. Did we check?
We'll get some UCI. But
I don't know.
On the day in the series, we were racing, but we got nothing. Everyone from 31st to 60th, we got fuck all. It is just bizarre. And I spoke to one of the ESO staff members about this, just in passing. One of my friends, I won't say the name. I think we've got to that stage where we probably should be naming people now. And it's oversight. It's not what they wanted, but because of UCI admin and rules and the new organizer, it just meant clusterfuck.
Yeah. And there's other points like that in the rule book as well. For example, series point for the last round, it says no points for qualifying and then points for final, but it doesn't say anything about semis. So we don't know what's going to happen in Mont St. Anne.
Yeah.
So we try to investigate, because we're like, are they not going to give any points for semis? Like, if I was me, I would be like, I'm not doing summies. Like, if there's no points, I'm not doing it. Because if it's muddy and you don't have even time to like clean your bike,
Especially
or
if
would you
you're
even like just go through the gate and then you protect it if you protect it, you know?
Yeah, there's 10 of the men and
Oh, it's like,
Yeah.
So it's like stuff like that is pretty, but we like the association and Miriam and Greg, we all talked about this point issue. We applied to make some changes. There's like a deadline mid-season, the 31st of July. We haven't heard anything.
Well, I heard something. So you guys sent your document into the UCI, and I contacted the UCI myself and said, what the fuck is going on, when we know what was going on. And they replied and told me, again, I won't say the name of the person I spoke to, but they replied and told me that, that's how it is. We'll look at it for future years. So they haven't replied to the union that they should be replying to, but they're telling some random rider.
But they're going to go through the UCI representative. They're not going to go directly to the association, because there's always like kind of like, but yeah, I don't know like what's going on with it, but
they've told me not to change until next year when there were 5 World Cups left. So
yeah, but we asked for a retroactive change. We didn't ask for like to do it next year. We asked to like do it the current year.
Yeah, I agree with you. But what I'm saying,
you know what I mean? Yeah.
I know that. And I'm saying they haven't come back to you guys and replied when they should have done, but they're telling me, some random person who's asked the question, that nothing will be done until next year. It's just a complete shit show. And
also, so it's hard to like also know, because they all like blame themselves, you know, they're like, oh yeah, that's UCI, that's ESO. Like, you never know who you need to like ask for, but I don't know, but it's like, it's definitely not easy to try to like fix some stuff that aren't working.
Let's move on to something else that happened, which was Cammie's crash in seeding. And I think she might be there, Emmy. Is she available for a quick chat?
Yeah, I'll just go get her.
Camille Balanche, how are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Cool. Talk us through what happened in Andorra. What can you remember?
Well, I just know because people told me, but I don't remember anything from the crash and almost 6 days after, so not much. But yeah, basically I was in quali run, and once I was on the road gap, a big wind came and just blew my bike under me, and I landed pretty much on the ground on the side, and hit my whole body, but my head was the worst. And I had a trauma, and it was quite a long time to be back, but I feel like I'm quite kind of normal now in my head, at least. So that's really, really good news.
And does anyone have any footage of this? Have you been able to watch it, or?
No, nobody took any videos. I was just lucky that a photographer was there, and because of the wind, he didn't took any picture, because like he lost his hat and everything, but he saw it and he kind of tried to explain me how it was. So I kind of know, what happened, but no, I don't have any video or anything, and we still really don't know exactly how I crashed and what happened afterwards and why I have like pain there and there. But I crashed because of the wind for sure.
And 3 weeks in hospital, and I believe you had some real changes to your personality with the concussion. Has that been the scariest part?
Well, not for me, because I don't remember anything, so I don't have any memories of me being weird and like, like I don't remember those stuff. So for sure, for my family and Emilie and all my close friends, it was for sure the hardest. But for me, honestly, it was easy. Like, I don't remember being in so much pain. I don't remember crashing. So I will say, the worst is like, you don't know what to expect, and you don't see that injury because it's in the head, so you don't know how fast it's gonna heal. And it's super weird injury, and for sure the worst I had. But at least you can feel I'm super happy is that every week is going better, and like my everything is improving. So that's a really good sign, and that's also super motivating when you see, I was struggling to memorize, and then you missed 2 words and then just one, and so that's for sure cool to see. And I just hope my whole body is gonna be back. That's something I need to wait, because I can walk, but like everything is quite slow. Like if I want to move my foot fast and stuff, I can feel like today was the first time I was back on a bike just to see if like the aerobic, like the endurance is a problem for my head. And it was all good, but I could feel that on the bike. I was like, not, like I could pedal, but it's like everything is quite slow and you don't feel comfortable. And like, it's super weird. So
Like you
I'm
have
sure
to
it's going to take time, but.
Yeah, like you have to think about it. Like,
I mean, I didn't have to think about like pedaling or stuff like that was easy, but we'll say more. Maybe you think about what could happen. I don't need to I'm not allowed to crash or like, like you're more scared of everything. It's like quite weird. I don't know, but it was the first time, so it's okay.
So I believe the physio's already started, and as you said, you're back on a bike. This season's done and dusted. Is it just now a waiting game until they tell you?
I think I will say, I need time. Like my body is healing and most of the stuff gonna take 6 weeks, so I don't have any pain. So I need to wait. I need to be patient, and then at one point when my body's gonna be healed, we're also gonna know if everything is 100% back to normal. But for that, I need more time. After 3 weeks, it's just too short. And then as soon as I'm gonna be all good, then I'm gonna start training again and everything. But right now it's just a bit like, I need to be patient and do step by step. Obviously for the head, we need also to have like protocol testing. That was like today, first 30 minutes aerobic. When that is okay, then you can test the next and then coordination, whatever. But you need to go like step by step and not go too fast.
Emmy, do you want to tell us a bit about the journey? What it's been like?
Well, that's why when you asked me if I remember Fort William, I was like, no way. Because it felt like these 3 weeks felt like, don't know, like 6 months, in the sense of like, since the crash and the way she was like, I was like, literally, I thought like me and her sister were there. Yeah. Like 5 minutes after the crash. And to be honest with you, I didn't even know she would like survive, because we didn't know she had like internal bleeding. She was like not making any sense. She was like erratic. Like the medics were pretty stressed, so we didn't know anything. Yeah. So until we had like news that the CT scan didn't show any internal bleeding, also the head seemed to be kind of all right. Then we were like first relief, But then when we talked to her or like try to talk to her, she was just like not talking or like she was just like sleeping. But then when she was awake, she was like, obviously the pain would take over. She just like really, really like aggressive and like would like say everybody was like, she was swearing. Like it was weird. And I was like, surely something's wrong. Like, and people would tell me as well, like if she has a head trauma, obviously this is all symptoms. Yeah. So I was kind of even hoping something was wrong, because I was like, oh, hopefully she doesn't stay like this, like in the sense of like, she wasn't herself. Yeah. And it was only like maybe a week after when we had her flew back with the Swiss insurance medical jet. It was like, she doesn't remember any of this, but I was like in the jet, in the cockpit, having kind of like the only bit of fun I had in this week with like the pilots, and everyone was really nice. So that was nice. But then obviously she was still like kind of in the clouds or whatever. And it's only after maybe a week or so that she first like, I don't know, show me like any signs of being normal, like a little bit of affection, nothing. I was just like, maybe she just forgot like not who I am, but like who I am to her, Yeah. And it was like kind of a bit panicking. I was like, whoa, is she gonna like stay like this forever? And then she started to like say, oh yeah, like talk normally. And I was like the second relief, because I was like, okay, it's coming back. Yeah. And then she got to the clinic, and that was like also good that she started to do stuff, but then she was bored. And then I was like, oh, now she's definitely herself. And then now she's out of the clinic. That's another relief. And now she can start like all the therapy that she needs, but still be at home and not be that depressed in that facility, which is just doing their job. But I think as an athlete, it's hard to be surrounded by people that like are really, really in a bad way. Yeah. So it was definitely it felt like a lifetime, and a hard journey as well. So for me, for her family, everyone, but it was way better outcome when I think about the accident itself.
Yeah. So 2-part question for all of you. Should riders have been on track in those wins?
I think on track wasn't any problem. It's just we can't fly, like we can't be in the air for that much when it's sideways. That's for sure. They need like to close the road gap, and then it's not any problem at all.
Yeah.
I think the point that's like maybe Jack, I'm interested in your answer, because I feel like in the history of downhill as well, wind affects people in a different way, and also like lighter riders. I always been more affected than other riders because I'm like 50 something kilos, and like someone that's 80 kilos will be less affected because there's a huge weight difference. But also, like she says, like where you build features is not being like looked at. And we've been in Andorra maybe a week before the race already, and we've ridden the 3 days, like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and every day from like 11:30 to 12 to 2:30, there's like wind gusts, like huge ones. And the Commencal guys were telling us, yeah, it's every day is the same. The wind comes up at lunchtime and then it goes back down at like 3 p.m. And everyone that lives there knows this, but for some reason, the only big road gap of the track is built in the most exposed piece of track that there is.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, you can still try to do it, but if you put like a wind sensor of anything that any wind sport have, and you say, okay, if it goes until like a certain amount, then you'd be just close the road gap, and then you just like, or you build it somewhere else, or you just try to be safer. But like there are solutions for stuff like that. But yeah, when you try to like get into that, people tell you, oh yeah, you can just ride a beeline. You see that like no one is going to take the beeline if they have the possibility to go over the road gap, because they might just hope that they're not going to be the one who gets the gust, you know.
And second part to that question, the cancelled semis, should the race have gone ahead? Was it safe without doing the road gap?
Yeah, I mean, we had a ridiculous experience throughout practice. Like, hopping back to the first thing you asked, like we were at the top and they were saying to us, we're not sure what we're doing. We're probably going to close the road gap. So familiarize yourselves with the beeline. And we might close 2 jumps at the top. So check those beelines out as well. And we were like, what do you mean you might close jumps? Like, so first run, I think pretty much everybody tried going around the road gap. And to be fair, it was a really good line. Like it was way more fun than the road gap. And then when we went up for second run, they started really saying they were going to potentially close these 2 jumps at the top. And I think Danny was there and a few other people were there. And we were asking, we were like, what jumps are you talking about? And we made the track guy explain properly which 2 other jumps he was talking about. And they had no reason to be closing them. And the around lines were so dangerous because we were going too fast. Anyone who actually tried them nearly crashed. I didn't even bother. I looked at what they were and was like, no, I'm not even going to waste my time with it. And I said to the track guy in the UCI comms at the top, I said, if this hill is too windy for us to hit those jumps, not the road gap, but the other 2, we shouldn't be on the hill at all. So I was quite strong in my opinion, and everybody around, all the riders were in agreement. So the UCI commissaire at the top said to me, you need to say this exact thing to the chief comm at the bottom, because he's the one relaying this message up. So I just kind of carried on my run, hit those 2 jumps, went round the road gap, did my run, got to the bottom, went to the chief comm, had the same conversation, and he said, I don't know what you're talking about. We're not closing 2 other jumps. We're just closing the road gap. And I was like, are you fucking serious? Your staff are at the top of this track telling everyone that you're saying you're closing additional jumps and you don't even know what I'm talking about. But honestly, the whole event from top to bottom was a shit show. And then 15 minutes later, loads of the girls had already gone up for their runs. They then postponed it. So then back to your second question, should they have cancelled semis? I mean, they couldn't have, certainly after what happened to Camille, like there's no way they could have chanced it with the gusts of wind. And we were pitted right at the top, and while we waited for that news as to whether we were going back out again, it was fucking windy. Like a couple of times, we dropped all our tents, and like you wouldn't have wanted to be on the hill in that wind. And then it calmed down later on. So yeah, who knows? It's like hypotheticals, right? But in terms of what Emmy's just said about where they're building jumps, I couldn't agree more. Like they put the biggest, most exposed hang time jump in the most exposed place on the hillside. Like it's just stupid.
For me, a good example is like for William, it's super often windy at the top, but I don't put any jump. And then for sure it's scary to ride when it's super windy, but you can, it's not that dangerous. I mean, you can survive and be on the track. You maybe not exactly on the right line, but you're still on the track. And then where they build the jump at the bottom, it's quite hidden, and most of the time is front or back wind, so it's not a problem. So for me, it's like, they know they have the wind, but they don't build jump at the top. And for me, Andorra is just stupid because they know they have wind and it's super high altitude, and they build the biggest jump at the top, and they know they have wind. So you're like, I think, that's stupid, because as a rider, we know the risk of downhill, and we agree with it. We're okay. But being injured because of the wind dust, I just think is stupid, because they could have avoided it. So
yeah, definitely. And in Ludenville, they had done that. Ludenville, the top of the track was super exposed, and there were jumps, but they were all small, tiny little lips. Like you could push through them fast if you didn't want to jump them in the wind. Whereas in Andorra, like you either jump those jumps or you're going to lose like 4 seconds every time you go around one of them. So yeah, not ideal.
Well, thanks for joining us, Camille.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
We'll let you go and get some rest, and hopefully we'll see you back on a bike real soon, and it all comes good.
Thank you. Yeah, hope to see you guys soon.
Yeah, get well, mate.
Bye-bye.
Jack, for anyone who hasn't watched your vlog, you've just described it as a shit show, I think. Tell us a bit about life as a second-class citizen over on a completely different hill to the race in Andorra.
Yeah, I mean, I won't go into too much detail because, like you said at the start of the pod, we could literally talk about this all night. So anyone who does want more detail can go and watch that video. There's some entertaining footage on there of me having to get a bus to my race run with about 100 spectators. And basically, long and the short of it is this year, the elite teams got a pit at the very bottom of the track, and everyone else was just given the middle finger. The UCI mountain bike teams were 2 kilometers up a road in one direction, and the gondola to come up from town was 2 kilometers in the other direction. And that's where my pit was, where the tech support and the XC was. So it wasn't just me that was affected by where I was. It was also anyone who was getting the gondola from town and didn't have an e-bike. Last year, we were all pitted there, and they ran shuttle service. And to be fair, in 2022, the shuttle service was efficient. We didn't have any problems. The mechanics were doing the same as this year, and they were taking the tools across. But this year, the shuttle service was non-existent. On the way for practice in the morning, a shuttle wouldn't take me because on race day, they wouldn't take me because they had a load of drummers in the shuttle. The shuttle had bike rack on the back for bikes, and it wouldn't stop for us because it had a load of drummers in there who were going to the bottom to make a lot of noise. So you're leaving the athletes behind and taking them. And then the second time to go back for race run after they gave us the green light on race day when the wind settled, there weren't any shuttles. We stood there for 15 minutes, and in the end, we just had to get on a bus. And then after the race, there weren't any either. So by then, they wouldn't even put us on the buses. So I had to e-bike bags back and then bring a car down from the Suntour pit, get one of the guys to kind of come and help. And then I had to tow Sam back on my downhill bike. And it was the same going back to the UCI mountain bike pits. People just couldn't get back there. So it was just once again, elite teams, here's your space. Everyone else can fuck off. And that, in a nutshell, is what the World Cups has become this year. So all they care about is putting a show on with those top riders on the elite teams. They don't want the rest of us there.
So next year, they've got Worlds in Andorra. How do they fix it? Because at a World Cup, you can, I don't want to use get away with, but you can get away with, what you're saying is, it's whoever pays the most money gets the best pits. And the World Cup is a commercial entity. They can probably get away with it. Can you get away with that at World Champs? You can't have half of Team GB on one hill and half on the other.
George. it's unfixable. It's not a viable venue. Like, this is the problem we have with the World Cups. It's all about money now. So these venues are paying to host a World Cup, so they will host a World Cup. And honestly, like, the number of police we saw doing nothing. At one day I rode back on the e-bike from our pits from the race bottom to my pit, 4 kilometer journey. I saw 11 police vehicles doing nothing, including like riot police. Like, it was just the weirdest week I've ever
too busy arresting my teammates. Getting fines of people by driving the Grom motorcycle without gloves.
Yeah, like, honestly, it's just laughable. That week in Andorra, me and Sam were literally, we were just laughing because we were like, this is so bad. Like, what else can we do other than just laugh at the situation we're in?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So, let's go talk about some of the racing that they managed to get on.
Yeah,
Iris took the win in junior women, Ryan Pinkerton in junior men, and we'll talk about Ryan in the Team Rumours section at the end. Nina took her first win of the year with an incredible run. Also on an incredible run was our very own Jack Redding. Fucking hell, mate. Against all the odds, up at the final split, on course for a top 10. Talk us through it.
I should get a bus to more race runs, I think.
Did you get excited?
Oh, must be. No, honestly, I was thinking about this earlier because I'd read the script and I was like, what went on? And basically, I think I just had a perfect build through my weekend. I never really felt like I was at my end pace. So, like, Ludenville was the opposite. I did 4 runs and was like, I'm good to go. And then I didn't put enough on it in my race run because I got comfortable, if that makes sense. Whereas Andorra, I never got comfortable. And I even remember the run I had before the race run when we got sent back again after the delay. I was still like making decisions about how I wanted to ride in that run. And I think it just all timed up quite nicely. And I remember before I crashed, I was sat 16th. And I'd just gone through the 4th split, 6th fastest. And I was just building momentum. And I can remember riding through that split. And there were a couple of corners where I can just remember we had Eddie on the podcast talking about the flow state, and I was fucking in it. Like, I was literally just flowing through everything. I was catching everything just right. And the annoying thing is, where I crashed, I made the same mistake last practice run. Just too aggressive, too fast, slightly on the bank. But in the race run, I just landed on that knuckle rock and it just wiped my front wheel out. And purely rider error. I can't blame anyone but myself. It was just one of them. I didn't feel like I was getting overexcited in my head. It was just, that was the pace I was at. It had all kind of come together nicely at exactly the right time. As you say, it could have been a great result. And threw it on the floor, 2 corners and about 12 seconds finish line. So yeah, it was, I was fucking gutted. I can't lie. I was absolutely gutted. But is what it is. That's racing. It was,
Well, you gave us all a buzz, mate.
Yeah, through it.
And you come through it in green. I was like, what the fuck?
I know. I'd come through the finish and then obviously I just got myself out of there because I was pissed off. And Aaron Gwynn stopped me in this little tunnel that we had to go through to get out. And I was like, I remember thinking, I was annoyed. I didn't want to see anyone. And I remember thinking, why is Gwynny stopping me? Like, and he was like, "Are you all right, mate?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm fine." He was like, "You were on one," and I was like, "Was I?" Because obviously I don't know anything. I didn't even look round. Like,
yeah, you've just got out of there. Yeah.
He went, "Yeah." He went, "You were green," and I was like, "He just made it worse." I was like, "Are you fucking serious?" So I just went back to our little pit at the bottom of the chairlift, and I just sat there on my own. Just didn't cry, didn't anything. Just sat there staring into space for about 20 minutes. Processing it. So, but that's racing, and that's why we love it, I guess, because it's not easy.
You picked Thibaut for the win, and he came down with 10 riders still to go. Finn was the rider behind him, and he got 3rd. But after that, the best ranked top 10 rider from qualifying was Loicu, who seeded 1st but finished 22nd. So it was definitely weather affected. We'll never know for sure, but in a word, would Thibaut have won if the weather hadn't changed?
No.
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 I think Loink was too strong.
Yeah, I think there were a couple of them who qualified hard.
Mm-hmm. He was riding hard though. He was riding well. I don't know, like if it
You
was
can
completely dry, it could also have like it pushed even more. But yeah, I think it was Loic was just.
I think you've also got to look at the time Thibaut won with,
Yeah.
and based off qualifying, it was beatable. So,
Yeah.
no disrespect to Thibaut, like
No.
yeah, put the run down and we did. But in a word, the answer is no for me.
It reminds me of I can never remember the guy's name. The lad who won a rain-affected World Cup and got tired.
Oyole.
Fail, yeah. And it reminded me of that run, because that run would have been a podium run.
Yeah, for sure.
But it wouldn't have won if the weather hadn't changed.
Difference is Thibaut's been there and done it, whereas
He has.
Viola hasn't, and he's
done it multiple times. When he won Léger, he was also a little bit helped by the rain too.
Are these 2 wins?
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's loads of podiums and Viola was like,
he's legit. Yeah.
One result, and it just like ruined his career because he couldn't deal with it. He said.
Yeah. So tell us a bit about Antoine Vidal, because he won the European Champs and he had a good run here. He was on the hot seat for a long time and scored his first World Cup podium with 4th.
Yeah, I mean, there's words you'd use for Vidal. He's kind of a French Ronan Dunn. He's wild. He's mad. Rides with his heart on his sleeve. Yeah, good, really good lad. Get on with him really well. But yeah, raw pace for sure.
Yeah,
and he was French champ as well. Like, was it last year? He had
it was. Yeah, it was last year. Yeah.
So he beat like Loic first. I know Benoit had a flat tire on the last corner. He blew his tire on the last corner, but like he beat like even Amaury was racing then. So he beat Amaury, he beat Thibaut, he beat Loic, he beat Loris fair and square there in Les Ors.
Yeah.
But yeah, like obviously they're sponsored by Les Ors, so maybe he had a little extra practice. But still, like he's still very young, as like you said, he's a little bit wild, so he has still stuff to learn. Yeah. But yeah, you can recognize Cécile Ravenel's style in the type of rider that she chooses, because Eris and Lisa Baumann are pretty loose too. It's pretty funny.
On to Ludenville then. So the junior race, the race Dom Platt and a host of other British riders have probably been waiting their whole lives for, and it gets cancelled because the track's unrideable, although it clearly isn't for anyone who can ride in mud. Thoughts?
Yeah, it's a tough one. I walked the track at the exact time the juniors would have been racing, because my accommodation was at the top.
Yeah.
My plan was to take Sarah and Blake down to the pits while the juniors raced, and then after that take the lift up because it was our day off and do a track walk. So once we heard that had happened, I just said to them, I was like, I'm just going to go and walk it now. So I was on track at that time. And yeah, all the way down, I was just like, really? Like, this isn't even that bad. Like, there was some bits that were steep and muddy, but I couldn't see a reason why you'd need to cancel a world race for it. And then at the bottom, I bumped into Rory Cunningham, who's like in charge of the track. And I've asked Rory if I can share this, and he said, yeah. And he came over for a chat. And basically the main reason they cancelled it was they had some riders that were crashing on the steeper sections, and marshals and medics couldn't gain access to the rider. The rider couldn't move to get their bike and get off the hill because it was too slippery and too steep. So they made the decision not based on how rideable the track was, but on what would happen if there was a serious injury in one of those zones. At the time of chatting with Rory, it all made sense to me, and I was like, right, yeah, fair enough. And then since then, I've gone off and, shared this, talked with various people about it. And the resounding message coming back, which makes perfect sense, is they haven't prepared the venue properly because it rains in the French mountains. Yeah. So if you've got a venue that you have no plan in place for when it rains for downhill mountain biking, you're fucked up. Mm. Where are your D-zone access points? Where are your medic access points? So their reason on the day is like, all well and good. However, that just means they haven't prepped properly for their event. So it is once again a pretty embarrassing situation for them to be in. And like I say, I saw the track at the time when it was due to be raced. And from a riding perspective, there is absolutely no reason why it wasn't safe to be raced.
So I wasn't in Lunonvial, but then I was just saw the messages that were going on. and it came about just before 11, like the cancellation. And I'm like, dude, it's the whole day. Like, there's nothing going on Saturday. Yeah. Why wouldn't you just like try to like make some, because they had to do some ruts for the day after, and it did it. Like Romain Paulin, who shout out to him, he tried his hardest to like try to like fix the track, because it's like he was like a racer and he's like a good builder, but like obviously they didn't prepare enough, and then he did some ruts and stuff, and he had time to do it until like 3 or 4 o'clock. If it rains again, then cancel it for real. But like, why wouldn't you just like wait for it to dry? Like when it's complicated, try to do something. And obviously all the videos that we saw of people crashing, they hold like dry tires on. Like you wouldn't go there in your DHRs. I mean, come on. Like it's unrideable if you have not prepared, but if you have 4 spikes and like maybe flat pedals if you need to, you like try to like ride a line that's like digged in, 100% almost everyone would have made it.
Yeah, for sure.
Like you see Leogan 2020, it was not like it was even
way
worse.
harder. Way harder.
Way more holes and everything. So like I know that the juniors were gutted. They're like, what the hell?
Human. There was so much anger in the pits. It was ridiculous.
So if you at least try to like get them back on the track, see, okay, how is the track? Like even the junior girls I texted, Erise texted, and they're like, no, we want to race. Like for sure we wanted to try. So it's like robbing these young people of like and mud experience are like a challenge as well. So that was like, I was like, okay, I understand some of the reason, but like obviously you can at least try to like, you have the whole day to try to figure out something. So the decision came so early, I was like mind blown. I was like, well, wow.
The interesting thing at the moment as well is they're not making any effort to discuss these big decisions with anyone. Then, you know, Andrew Chandler, who manages the Trek team, he saw this conversation I'd had with Rory from the bottom road, and he flagged me down on the road, angry, and said, I've just seen you chatting with Rory. What the fuck are they doing? What's the reason behind this? You know, he's a manager of a huge elite team, and he didn't know why it was going on. They're not consulting riders. They're not consulting team managers. And when it's a decision that big, when, like Emmy says, it doesn't really make sense, and there's suggestions people could have made. Like Flo Paye made a great suggestion on Eddie Masters and Dean Lucas's little chat thing. Do what we would have done in the old days. Open the track for the day. Get us out there. The riders who feel confident and know what they're doing in the mud can get out and ride the ruts in. The track will be podded in for the rain. If the track's suitable, run the junior race later on in the afternoon, and then we would continue the following day. Like there were ways and means of making the event happen. Ultimately, it was just like such a strange move.
As an outsider kind of looking in, for me, whoever's making the decisions isn't very good at making decisions. The big decisions. When you look at the big decisions from like, well, we're going to do a semi-final, we're not going to get Rob to do the commentary. You know, the big decisions that somebody's getting paid the big bucks for, we're going to cancel a race. They're not very good at making big decisions, I don't think.
It just seemed like fish out of water. The whole thing just seems like it's just, everyone's just disillusioned with what's going on, really.
So perfect weekend for Valley, going for 1-1-1 and looking pretty imperious doing it. What a race in the men's. Dak's run was wild. Lots of mistakes, but still good enough for second. Thibaut Deprella's crash was brutal. He couldn't find his bike. That's the entire Commencal Muck-Off team out. We've seen them have some incredible success, but this is the other side to riding the edge, isn't it? Do you think they're going to have to try and tone it down a bit?
I don't know. Like, there's still the juniors still racing. And then they got
and they've drafted Dylan.
They got Dylan Maples like helping out, but definitely. Well, they all have a certain character. Like Thibaut, Miriam, and Amaury, I know, like they've been sometimes riding with injuries, and they've been riding like on the limits so many times. Obviously, other people do that as well, but like it's still kind of the way they operate, and that's why they like also such a family and how they work together.
Yeah,
but I don't know. Like for sure, Amaury has probably learned like a lot of things. about himself, about his sport, about the way he does things to this injury. And I would be surprised if it still like goes out and take that many risks. I think it will probably be like a little bit more of a smarter racer now, and maybe for the better.
I'm going to share something with you which maybe contradicts that.
Yeah, sure.
I saw Emilie at the after party at Commons Down, and had a pretty hilarious exchange with him. Obviously we were both on the beers, and I said, "Are you back for Snowshoe Mont Saint Anne, or are you done?" And he was like, "No, man, I am done for the season. I will wait." And then he just looked at me with these wild eyes and just went, "I will train so hard this winter. I will destroy all of them. They're all fucked." And just literally just went off. And it was like, yeah, the raw Omri is still in there. And it was like, whoa, like, dude, it's August.
But that's who he is, though. And I don't think that will go away. But to be honest, also, I think the staff probably like sort of learned a lot through this season, even it's like such hard times. And they might have been also sometimes like not preventing the athletes to race when they should have been racing. I remember like Miriam in Lords after a crash, like as a team manager, you should have said, "You're not going to the start gate," and it didn't do it. It's hard, but it's kind of your job. And I think now they probably see things differently as well.
Probably the same with Amaury in Andorra last year. And that must be really hard when he's leading the overall, but
yeah.
Like I don't know, maybe we'll see, but I would say like not like completely change their identity because it's who they are, but like a little bit more on the smart side when you have to like make tough decisions. I'll be surprised that they don't adapt.
I can't remember it from. I mean, I only know I have knowledge for the last kind of 12, 13 years, but I can't remember an entire team being out injured before. They've always been able to.
But yeah, I mean, I think they are what they are, aren't they? And like Emilie said, you can't, if you try and change who they are, then you're going to lose that fire they've got on the bike, and the athlete would essentially not be what they are. So maybe like Emilie said, a little bit more kind of smart decisions going on, but ultimately they are what they are, and that's why they've been so successful. They've got to take the rough with the smooth in extreme sport.
So Finn Isles missing those poles and getting DSQ'd, Loic taking the win. In a word, will that cost him the overall?
Not necessarily. We were talking about this, like with the amount of points you can score in semis, if Loic has a mare in Snowshoe and one of the riders in the top kind of 3 to 5 wins everything, it'll be all to play for again. It's in Loic's hands, isn't it? He has a good one in Snowshoe, and they ain't going to catch him. But I think it's definitely still races on.
Cool. Well, that seems like a great place to pause, because we'll be back with the man who won quali and semis in Leadenville, Benoit Coulanges, after these messages. We're now joined by the man of the moment, Benoit Coulanges. What a few weeks, mate. How are you feeling?
It's insane, honestly. I just like, now I feel pretty good, but a few days ago it was like insane, very emotional, and I cried a few times, so it was sick.
Did you party afterwards?
Until 2.
Nice.
After the race, but the biggest moment was crossing the line with the fun and everything.
Yeah, that's so cool.
Nice. Well, let's rewind a little bit, mate. You were last on the show end of 2021 after your breakout season. You finished 8th in the overall, picked up your silver medal at World Championships. 2022, great first half of the season. 4th in Lords, 4th in Fort William, 5th in Lenzerheide. Tell us a little bit about the pressure you felt to repeat the success of 2021.
I think a bit like every year, like during the winter, when the season coming, like I always felt a bit like doubting. I think a bit like I don't know if I lose my magic power to go fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, after the first race in Lourdes, I finished fourth, and it was pretty good for me because like I didn't have the run I wanted, and I know I was able to do better for the racing year after that. And it was pretty stressful also because we received like the new frame, the V5, 1 week before the race. But at the end, it was a really good year. And after the first race, I forget the pressure of like the year before.
Yeah, for sure. So you had a couple of DNFs in Andorra and Mont Saint Anne, but then you qualified fastest at World Champs in Ligier last year. And we talked about this, didn't we, in the gondola the other day? How much confidence was that giving you going into this week? I already know the answers to this one, but go on, share with everybody how you were feeling.
Yeah, I think it just like show me that I can do it. But again, it just like a quali run is way different than a final run. And at the end, Loic was really faster than everyone at this race. But like I think he can race like every year like this. It's same for everyone. Like sometimes you have like some highlight.
Yeah.
But I knew I was able to perform on this track, sure. And I also had a chat before Ligier race with Leon, who shaped the track in Ligier, and he said, "Oh, this year will be slower and more technical." And I think I prefer how it is now.
Yeah. Okay. So those changes you felt that worked well for you this week.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay. So you went on to finish 2022 with your 6th place in Val d'Isole, and finished the overall in 7th. By this point, firmly established as a top 10 rider. Were you happy the way you finished the 2022 season?
Yeah, honestly, really, because like every year I'm better. I was like one place before the last year, like at the overall. So it's always something I can take. 4 podium or 3 podium is pretty good. And also after 2021, my goal was to win a race because I did like second at World Champ. So it was really my goal. And I won the quali in Leogang this year in 2022. Yeah. I think I was pretty close for the race run too, but I crashed. But like, and also winning the quali in World Championship in Ligier, like show me I really can do it. I was close this year, so it was like big motivation for me for the winter. And yeah, honestly, pretty good year. Like 4 podium. Like I think like if I had a good run, I was able to do a podium at every race, so it was pretty cool. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, this is something I really like about Benoit, because some people don't really understand that, but he can also like sometimes like, oh yeah, you're getting 7th or 8th, and he's always someone that says, oh yeah, I'm really happy with my 8th place.
Yeah.
And sometimes someone like Max Commensat would be like, why are you happy with your 8th place? And you're like, well, try to become 8th in the world and see how hard it is, especially like with the times now. So yeah, it always makes me smile when I see Max saying this stuff, because I'm like, oh my god. Anyway, let's move on to this season then, 2023. So you're going good, but like a little bit under the radar. Like solid result, Lenzerheide 5th, you qualified 5th, and then 5th in semi, 8th in finals. I remember Leogang, I think he had a crash in qualifying in a tree, or 40th, then 6th in semi, 10th in finals, always in the top 10. And then Val d'Isole 4th in quali, 9th in semi, 8th in final. And so when I was in Andorra, I was always like next to the track and like trying to film people. And I've heard some people, I don't know if it's Flo Payet or someone, he was like, yeah, Benoit this year, he's a little bit less on pace. And I was like, this made me angry. I was like, dude, that's disrespectful. Like, and then 2 weeks later, you're like winning your World Cup, and I was like, there you go. You know, like it's always people are quick to like tell, oh, it's not your year, but you can turn it around in 1 second. So after these results, like, did you feel like you were getting closer to it, even though people might think, oh yeah, you're not on the podium or whatever?
I think like this year for me was the beginning of the year was pretty tough, honestly, because we have the new format and first race in lens ride, I was pretty good in quali and semi, I think, and I did some big mistake in the final. But after that, like every race we have like weather issue, like. And it was hard for me to understand like how all the rider like evolve between semi and final, or how they manage that and how they improve their time and everything. So like for me, even
I love that your response to that has just been to just win everything. I know what I'll do. I'll just win fucking all of it.
Maybe it's the easiest way, I don't know, for me, but it just like yeah. After I think it was after the French champs. Same. I was good in quali. I won the quali. And I finished third, I think. Yes, third. And I was like, okay, I have problem in final because like every time my quali is pretty good, and on the final other rider smoke me. So I thought a bit about that. I tried to maybe change a bit my strategy, and I take some notes on my book of different strategy I can try. So we come to Andorra, and again the weather play
big role. Yeah,
play a big role, and I was unable to see how the new strategy working. But at the end, I crashed, but I was pretty good at the 2 first split. I think in the same time as Loic Bruni.
Yeah.
So it was pretty good, yeah.
Yeah, definitely. So you crashed into 3, but I felt like you were like really, really trying to take some risk, like more than maybe in your other final runs before.
Yeah. Yeah, really. It was the strategy. I felt like this year, nobody is really faster than other like last year with Amory.
Yeah.
Because like everyone takes so much risk. And I think a lot of riders ride over the limit. Like we can see how many crash we have in final.
Yeah.
So it was also my new strategy because my goal's still the same, winning a World Cup. And I think to win a World Cup now for me is still like something I need to. I really need to take some risk to do it.
Yeah. So last year in Andorra, you had a crash in, was it quali or practice? And then you had
quali,
a low injury. And this year, like, obviously you were doing a bit better, but yeah, you had the weather against you. Like, it seems like Andorra maybe doesn't wish you well. And now with Camille, we need to turn it around for next year because Andorra is not doing us any favors so far. But you like the track, or
me too, Emmy.
How do you
me
feel
too.
about this place?
I think last year I wasn't really happy about the track, but because of the bottom, like with the bridge and everything. But this year it was pretty good, honestly. Not my favorite, but it was really good to ride. And yeah, it's still a dangerous track. Like we have a lot of moving rock. Rock moving, and the wind at the top, it's and the high speed also is pretty crazy. And last year I crashed because like in the rock garden I had in my line like a rock was moving, so I crashed because that's so it's like a bit of unluck, I think. But and this year it was my fault, like I tried to push in the during the rain, and it was slippery. Like I think in Morzine 2 days ago, I spoke with Loris. He said to me, "Oh, I was pretty close to took this tree too. It was so sketchy at this part." And me, I push so hard during the run, so sometimes it's happened.
Yeah, for sure.
But I don't think it's the track.
Yeah.
I hope.
Good.
Because next year is the World Championship.
Okay, next year will be good. Then moving on to Le Danviel, and so it all seems to click. You were first in seeding, first in semi, and apparently you had also a big mistake in your semi-final run.
Yeah.
Last man down the hill, and you were like on pace. I remember me and Cam were in front of the TV because we were in there, and Cam was like, "Oh, come on, he's not gonna win when I'm not there. He's first." She was almost pissed. She was like, "Come on," like. And then I was like, "He's gonna do it. He's gonna do it," because like bottom was not the best, and we're like, and then you took your foot out, and we're like, and then you put it back on, and then you slid over, and we were like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" And we almost, we felt for you, but I guess you were like pretty upset about that crash. Eh?
Yeah. The track. Honestly, I don't know why the track. I don't know why it's click. Sometimes it's just like this. I think the track is pretty French.
It's the Plaine Steeps number 2.
Yeah, and also it's a lot of grass, and on the French Cup we have a lot of stuff like this. So yeah, at the Korea I was pretty surprised, but like for the semi, like it rained a lot during the night or the day before, and like directly the morning I felt really good on the track, and even the staff of my team said to me, "Oh, you're the only one who look really easy on the track and everything." Like I was pretty stoked, honestly, to ride in the mud this track. It was pretty cool. And so I went to the semi, and with the plan to ride like fluid or with a lot of flow, because I wasn't protected for the final. Yeah. So it's a shame if you don't go in the final and you won the quali.
Yeah.
But like always, after 2 turns, I forget that and I try to push. Until this big mistake. Honestly, it was a big save because I was almost off the track.
It was on the off camber bit, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I was at the bottom, and with the compression at the end, I was like sideways. But it was pretty difficult. And after this mistake, I really calmed down and like make it to the line. So I was so confident for the final. Like I felt like, okay, I have so much in the tank and I can do it. Because I won the semi. So last guy is on the hill. Yeah. But like the start of Le Danviel is a bit special. Like you felt like you're more on the like local race than the World Cup, because nobody are at the top. It's pretty flat, nothing to see. It's just like, so it wasn't too bad about the pressure and everything. And yeah, good run until I crashed. Yeah, I don't know if I didn't manage the pressure or if it's something else, but yeah. And at the bottom I was pretty upset because like I felt like last year Amaury was the boss, like in Leogang it wasn't a good weekend for Amaury, and I know when it's like this I have more chance to win, so I really need to take this opportunity to do it.
Yeah.
And I crashed one time in Leogang, and this time I crashed again. And for me, it was like, okay, one other opportunity that I put to the trash, and I was really upset. Like for me, I don't feel like I can be like the guys would dominate
Dominate. Mhm.
dominate. So when I have the opportunity, I really want to do it because like it's not every weekend we can do it. I can do it. So yeah, I was a bit like upset, but honestly, after one day, it was okay.
Okay.
It was good weekend overall. Like won 2 race, and yeah, I was close for the win, I think.
So we're like talking about, obviously you mentioned the track, the fact that you like the track, that the track was like a French track, and also obviously the weather. Because I could be wrong, and you proved me wrong in Léger, but I always thought you'd be closer to winning World Cup in the mud because I've seen how amazing you are.
We won't race the
mud.
World Cup again, Emilie.
Huh?
We won't race the Mud World Cup again. They've all been cancelled.
Oh yeah, true. Yeah, damn.
Yeah.
But also like you how are your opportunity like in Andorra and stuff, like with the change of weather also been a problem. So, but you talk also about your strategy. So, what do you think? Like you clicked in Louvain after the race, after your crash, you like made the changes for the next week.
I think I didn't do any change because he was working in Louvain, so it was the same plan for Léger. Like my strategy was like to do a really good quali, then like keep energy during the semi-final for the final.
Yeah,
that was the goal.
Yeah.
You went quicker on every run though, didn't you?
Yeah, I think yeah.
Yeah, you did. Yeah,
I looked. Not
much. It was like 3:21, 3:20, 3:19, or something like that. Is that?
I don't remember.
George knows all the numbers. He's making up the numbers for a reason. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's talk about Léger. Tell us a bit what you were thinking when you were like sat at the top after you won quali and seeding. How were you feeling like in the gate going down last again?
Honestly, this time the pressure was way higher because like after Louvain, I received like so much DM and message and fans that told me, okay, next race, it's you. You need to win now. You can do it. We believe in you. It was just a little mistake. Just it will click and everything. So yeah, it's pretty good to receive this kind of message, but like sometimes you felt like it's look easy from outside to do it again, and in the real world it's like really hard, and it put me a bit more pressure. And again, I won the quali 2 times and I crashed 2 times in the final, so it's play a bit in your head. And also we have like a huge crew. A lot of fun was there, more than Louvain. So from the top you can hear it. And yeah, also Mas Commensal come to me before the race, and he said to me, Benoit, our top rider are like injured, so no, it's your time. You're gonna win. So it was.
He's a pest, this guy.
Yeah, I tried to translate in English, but it's not exactly this word, but it's pretty much that. And so he said we are 100% in here for you. So let's do it. Do it. So yeah, honestly, when I come to the top for my warm up in Asia, I was pretty stressed. I told to my coach at the top, because we have like I have my trainer at the top and my mechanic, and my trainer play with me for the warm up. So it's always pretty good because I just play with my my coach to warm up, and after we go to the gate like this, I can think about other stuff, and it's pretty easy for me, and it's pretty good for the focus. Also, we try to be late as we can. Like I think I come to the start like 2 minutes before my start.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's pretty late because like at the top between rider we have 4 minutes. Is crazy long. It's crazy long. Like to wait 4 minutes in front of the gate with like no people around and no rider with is like really young. So we try to arrive pretty late. And honestly, after when I was on the gate, I was pretty focused, and yeah, what I remember, I was pretty ready. So yeah.
So let's go on and talk about the run a little bit then, because I was actually watching the live timing. I was at the lake actually with Sarah and Blake, and I didn't really know what was going on with the race, but I wanted to know if you were going to win. So I think it was Dak was halfway down his run when I flicked the live timing on. So your first split came up and you were red, but you were in touch. And then your second split came up and you were a little bit more red, I think 0.2, but you were still in touch. Third split came up and you were half a second back. And I remember thinking, this gap's getting bigger. It's only small. And then all of a sudden, fourth split, you were green. Did you have any feeling during the run of how it was going, or were you just in your own zone doing your thing?
No, we never know. It's always something when people speak about your run from the outside, because like it's totally different during my run. Now, honestly, I stick to my plan. Like during the semi, I did few mistakes because like the dust was so insane in few corners. So I play safe in two parts of the track. I think one where Kolb did a big mistake. So it was a good choice, the good decision. And yeah, just like the last corner of the track, I did it so bad, so slow. But honestly, the run was really good. Yeah, really good. I pushed where I wanted to push and play safe where I wanted. So yes, it was insane. And when I took around the last turn, I saw the split, but like know how is it? Like you can really know why is the split. I saw one split green, but I didn't know if it was the last one or the second one. Like it was so strange, and yeah. It felt like long until the line.
Yeah, for sure. So obviously to win in Leger in front of the French fans, tell us about when you knew you'd done it. Because like you say, you saw the splits, but you didn't know what order. At what moment did you realize, fuck, I've just won?
Yeah, honestly, I crossed the line. I directly checked the screen and I saw my name in first, and maybe I wait for 1 second. I felt like it was really long, and I just turned to the crew and run into the crew because I was just like, I just wanted to enjoy like this moment with the fan, and I just wanted to enjoy as much as I can. It's like it's hard to describe how easy it was.
Yeah,
it was just insane for me. Like it was surreal. I think it was
10 years. Is it 10 years? Have you been racing World Cups for 10 years?
I think it's 11 years.
11 years.
But
11
like,
years for that moment.
First year elite, Claude, my team manager, created the team. So I did 10 years with him.
Yeah.
And at the beginning we were just like pretty much a group of creators with like maybe 10 grand of euros of budget. We buy the bike and everything. Now we are like a big team with big result. Camille won World Championship and World Cup, and me, I just won my first age race. And at the beginning, like how you can see like the plates at the beginning.
I've been looking at them. Yeah.
It just like, it's a big improvement for me. And
they're my current plate numbers, those, Benoit. And I've been racing for 10 years
maybe,
as well.
maybe in 10 years you can win a World Cup. But for me it was huge work, and I just feel like I'm just so proud of me and the team, because at the beginning I didn't even dream to win a World Cup. Like the dream was just like to do the qualidon, and after that like to be on the live TV on some stuff like this. And for the last 2 years it's my goal. It was my goal to win a World Cup. So honestly 2 years look like small, but in same time I saw like Matt Walker did his first World Cup last year, Finais, Goldstone this year, Jordan Williams,
Andy Kolb.
I was like, okay, they did it. I don't do it. Maybe finally I can do it, because they did like, I was a bit like maybe jealous because they did it before me.
Yeah.
But in same time, it showed me like it's possible.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. For me, it's like a gift after like 10 years of try to improve myself.
Yeah, honestly, it's quite emotional for me to hear you talking about it, because obviously we've known each other a long time, and up until COVID, we kind of raced together and we're getting similar results. We had similar sponsors, and I knew you really well. And to see how hard you've worked, and to now see you enjoying the fruits of that and winning is, you've set such an amazing example for any young athlete coming into this. Of not everything's easy, not everything's going to be like, here it is, just go and do it. You have to work hard for it, and you're living proof that if you want something enough, you can go off and do it. And you should be massively proud of yourself, because it's a huge achievement.
It's very hard, because like it takes so much time, and like sometimes during 1 or 2 years you don't feel like the improvement. So it's pretty hard to believe in yourself like doing so long. I'm pretty lucky, because like pretty much every year I step up a bit, so it keeps me really motivated. But like I think it was 2019 I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
And it was pretty stressful for me, because like I make a bit of money, like it was enough to live, but I knew if like the year after that I wasn't able to do good results, it was maybe the end of my career. I wanted so bad like to keep this life, to be better. So during like the COVID year, I worked so hard. Like everyone say, okay, we took some time, but me, I was working so hard, because I really wanted to achieve and to keep my life like this. From this year, I think 2020, every year changed a lot, and I did my first podium in 2021.
The
for
thing
sure.
is, there's no promise that you're going to get there, is there?
No.
That must be the hard thing, that
I never got there.
You can give everything and you still might not make it.
A lot of people. Ask me how you can do it, how we can do it, but I can take someone and say we do that, and that's it. we will receive like the gift, but no, it's a bit cruel. Yeah.
Yeah, it has to be everything. I remember, as you say, it was 2020 when you left me behind. I remember coming to France during COVID for some races, and you just smashed a French Cup, and I was like, where the fuck's Benoit gone? Like, Benoit, like similar, he just smoked me. And I remember thinking, it'll even out. And then we went and did the World Cups, and I can't remember your results in 2020, but they were certainly better than mine. And ever since, like you say, you've just kept climbing. So yeah, I mean, on that note, you're sitting 5th in the overall now. You're on 1,112 points, 218 points behind Loic. The big question is, are you feeling like you can keep this form going into the last 2 World Cups? And do you think you can catch him?
When we watch the points, it look easy, you know. 200 points, and like for one win, if you win the 3, it's like 4.
It's a lot.
150.
Even more, I think.
More than that?
Because it's 250 per win, no? So it's like 500 and then like...
No, they changed semis. They dropped semis back there.
Yeah, you got 400 this week.
I think I almost did like the half in one weekend, so...
yeah.
But yeah, honestly, the plan is to keep enjoying like this victory. It's not happen every weekend.
Yeah, for sure.
It was like it's why I try to enjoy as much as possible with the fun, because like it's not happen every weekend. I think when I will take the plane for snowshoe, the mind will swift and it is okay.
Yeah.
It will be after that at the end. I think everything will play at the last round. No.
It'll come down to months. Anyway.
And they will put like all the points just for the final. Like
we've just been talking about that.
Talk about that. We don't know.
Because it changed like few times. No.
The skepticism on whether you can win points in semis. So, I would imagine it will be all the points for final.
Everything is possible, but not just for me. Like for 6 people or 7 riders. So
it's an exciting finish.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you about the Supreme V5. The V4s were known for developing a few cracks. Have you cracked a V5 yet?
Yeah, I know the V4 is... Everyone know like we had some problem of fiability. But like the V5, I still riding in the mud like my first bike from like Lourdes last year.
Nice.
It's my training bike, and we didn't have any problem. And it's like a pre-series frame. It's pretty much the same. It's not exactly the same. Like the difference is just, I think, like we can change the rigidity at the rear of the bike. But when it's muddy, I still riding this bike in Morzine. Because I don't want to destroy my new bikes. And at the beginning, we count the number of runs, and I stopped counting at 500 runs.
Whoa!
It's just insane. And we changed like 3 times the bearing. And like I did like first World Cup with this bike. All my first year training in Morzine, Whistler 2 weeks, New Zealand 3 or 4 weeks. My winter training with this bike, and after I changed my training bike, but I keep for the muddy days.
Cool, that's good to hear.
But yeah.
Well, look, thank you for making the time to come on the pod. As I said, I said drop you a message yesterday, and I said, as I said then, I'm genuinely so bloody pleased for you. It's a victory for perseverance, for grit and determination, and it's so wonderful to hear. You know, that's possibly my favourite interview we've ever done on this podcast. We've done some belters, but that is possibly it. To hear someone who's put so much into it and tried so hard get there, it's amazing.
Thank you so much, George. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. I hope you can win another one soon, Benoit.
I hope to.
Best of luck for the rest of the season. We'll be back with more after these messages. So, wrapping up Leger, Sasha Ernest was 5 seconds up when she crashed and still finished fourth, but Valentina Roa Sanchez held it together to win junior women. She's leading the series now on 285 points, with Lisa Bula doing second and Aris in third. Two really contrasting styles there, Emmy. So we've got Aris, who's either top two or bust, with 3 wins this season, including world champs. And then Valentina and Lisa, who have 1 win each, but podiums at pretty much every other race. As a team manager, kind of looking at prospects coming through, what do you prefer to see juniors display? Is it raw speed or is it consistency?
I'll go with raw speed for like junior women's, but because you can still like learn consistency, because I know for a fact that I started down with 21. I was like crashing my brains out every 2 like runs, because I was like, whoa, this bike is just like so fast and I can do so fast on it. But then obviously when you do a mistake, consequence is a little bit higher than on a cross country bike. So I think, I don't know how Aris will do. Like, she had a concussion after a crash, like from Leger, so it's not even really sure if she's gonna do the last 2 rounds. Hopefully for her, I think she was doing better, but I was really stoked to see Valentina taking her first World Cup win as well. Yeah. Because she's been third in Leger the year before when Jenna won, but she was really close to like win some other World Cups, and I think she probably was gonna win Ludoviel, because she was the only rider that could make it down like without like getting sketchy, and her coach was like, damn, like I felt robbed. Like she had it in the bag and then she was devastated, but then she turned it on and win the next one. So like Benoit a little bit, so when you can bounce back from that, I think it's pretty impressive. So we'll see it's pretty exciting finish, to be honest, in almost every category. Maybe the junior men have a little bit less surprise, but yeah, it's pretty exciting for sure.
So Ryan Pinkerton took the win in Leger with Benoit Coulanges. Ryan looks to have the overall wrapped up in junior men. Valley has pretty much done the same in elite women, 424 points ahead of Nina in second and Marine in third. Great rides from Marine and Monica Hrasnik though in Leger, Emmy.
Oh yeah, Monica's this is her personal best, second place. Yeah. So she had a quali win in Val di Sole when he was like pouring down a few years back. Yeah. And I know because I got second and she beat me in quali, and I was like, oh, I could have quali win. And then she like got second this time. So I think it was like she hadn't had a top 5 this year yet. Right. It was going rough for her. And I think also for seeing how she was riding in Andorra after Cam's accident, I think she was pretty like thrown off by it. Like a lot of people are, but like also Bernard said he was thinking about it on the World Cup and stuff, but she was like definitely affected. So Andorra didn't go well, but then she turned back, and Marine back on the top step after 1 year off. That was pretty cool to see. Obviously I was like big gutted for Valley, because I was like, damn, like she crashed in the first corner and then she tried to push, and I thought 9 seconds, she could come close if she really pushes, and then she crashed again and gave up. So
Loic leads the elite men on 1,330, with Jackson on 1,273 and Loris on 1,208. Given how he's riding, given he's so strong psychologically, you've said already that it's possible, Jack, for other people to do it. Can you see anything other than a Loic Bruni win?
Yeah, I can actually. Like, yeah. I think in that group, Jackson's the danger man. What the fuck is he going to lose?
Yeah, no pressure.
Like, no pressure at all. First
home
year
track.
He's going to Mont Saint Anne. Like, yeah, I think he's the danger man in there. So it's gonna be exciting. It's nice that we're going into these last races thinking that this is anyone's.
Yeah. So what's Loic done to Jordan and Finn? Like, you get these riders on his team, right, who he thinks are going to be the biggest threats going forward, and think, I'll just destroy them. I'll ruin them.
God knows. Like, they're still all hanging out together. I had a nice chat with Finn in Ludenville about Jordan, and he said he's loving having him on the team, and they share lines and get on really well. And I've seen Loic and Finn together in Leger in practice, chatting, and so the team vibe looks from the outside all fine. It's just the results have just been up and down, haven't they? Look at Emmy; she wants to throw in the ring. Go on.
No, I just want. It would be so good to be a little fly and come into the pits and like everything. That would be like the most exciting pit to be around when they're like all under pressure and like they all have. I don't know Jordan that well, but Finn and like definitely like huge personalities and also egos, like in a good way or in a bad way, both of them. Like, yeah, I remember Amaury was like also dominating, but then Loic took the overall off him in snowshoe, that crazy race that we all remember.
Yeah,
he was just, they were like talking after the race. Obviously, they had some beers and they were like, yeah. I'll get it next year as well. I'll destroy all of you. Like you said, like Amaury is saying he's going to destroy all of it. That's really the vibe. Like they're like...
Yeah, for sure.
It's like the friendship are like this. So it can be a bit hard probably to have someone that just like this all the time and wants to rip everyone apart, basically. Even their own teammate probably. Like on the inside, you know he's feeling that way. Yeah. But it's just exciting. I think the drama.
It is. Jack, you predicted that your predictions have been so on point.
The last 5.
Have you got 5 in a row? You didn't predict Benoit at this one, did you?
Did you? You should try to like get some money on this.
I had a podcast, but that is what I predicted before we started practice. I was like, I was really torn, but I was like, no, I am going to go with him. The Ludenville thing threw me off for a bit. I was like, same as you, George. I was like, is he going to hold it together? But I went with him. So yeah, last 5, Charlie, Thibaut. No, last 4. Charlie, Thibaut, Loic, and Benoit.
So who's going to win in Snowshoe and Mont Saint Anne then?
Oh, it's a tough one, isn't it? Like, I really want to stand by my 8 different winners. So it thins the herd. Because obviously we've lost Benoit now, so yeah. Go on, Emmy. Who do you
could Finn come back?
It really depends on the weather. Like if it's snowshoe and Mont Saint Anne are mudfest, Bernard Kerr is going to come out swinging. But if it's dry, it could be someone completely different, like Loris, who was always fast there.
Yeah.
Andy Kolb has come really close to Leger.
I can't have him because he's already got one. So
I know, but I mean, he could like. Have you looked at that show with Elliot and Rob?
No.
I mean, they show like the difference. Even on the live thing, like he lost half a second in his mistake. Like he had it.
Oh yeah. Oh, he throws it away. You can see the splits. Like he gives it him.
Yeah, but like it was like so you're like and
he's
also
making
he had
mistakes all the time.
So he's like on it.
But he's making mistakes at every one.
Yeah.
So, it's tough.
You've got to have, if you're going to go for a different one, you've got to probably have Loris getting one.
Well, Snowshoe, I'm torn between Dak and Loris.
Yeah, Dak. Is Dak good in Mont Saint Anne or no?
Dak's good anywhere.
Yeah, but
just so hit and miss. That's the thing with Dak. All right, I'm going to go Loris, Snowshoe, Finn, Mont Saint Anne.
I think
find his magic again.
I'm gonna go Bernard Snowshoe because I really believe he could do it, and I want to hear the end of the story here. I can't keep going on like this. I'll be really like same with Cam and none of you. I'll be pissed because I'm not gonna be there.
Are you not? You're not coming over?
No. But yeah, Bernard Snowshoe would be amazing, and Mont Saint Anne.
Jackson, gotta be.
Huh?
Gotta be Jackson. I'd be choosing Jackson if I was choosing a different winner.
Yeah, Jackson.
And for the women?
Snowshoe, Valley. And Mont Saint Anne also Valley.
Valley.
Because I think because she won Mont Saint Anne before, and I think
we've seen her fall under pressure before though. Is that crash gonna get to her?
No, she's so far ahead. If she can wrap it up.
She was like even more. She was like to me. She was like, "I'm so relieved I crashed. Like I haven't crashed in so long."
I saw that on the Win TV that she was like, I kind of knew I was going to crash this week. It's strange.
No, because like she hasn't crashed in so long. Also in practice, she was like, "Oh my god!" Like, and also after Camille's accident, she was like, "Why am I gonna crash?" And then she was like, "Oh, I'm okay. I crashed. I'm okay." And then like sometimes I had the same feeling because I was at the end of my career. I didn't crash much, and I'm like, I haven't crashed in so long. Like, when is it gonna happen? You know? So I think if she's like healthy at the start, she'll get it because she's like. These are two very technical tracks.
Yeah.
And I think she's like, the technical ability is she's just better at the moment. You know?
Two riders in the men's who are bubbling away nicely, who might surprise us at both of these next two are Troy Brosnan and Danny Hart. Two of the kind of bit more veteran riders now, but getting good splits and podiums. Danny's won at Snowshoe before, so I wouldn't be surprised to see big performances out of Danny and Troy.
So I purposefully haven't mentioned the TV production until now because it's actually nuts. The coverage at World Champs was awful. I don't know how much of the production ESO were in charge of, but the commentary was the worst I've ever heard. And Rick McLaughlin and Neil Donoghue was pretty much everything I feared the GMBN takeover would be. There was a moment, I don't know if you watched it, but there was a moment in the junior men's when Leo Abella crossed the line and went into the hot seat, and he ended up third, and he's buzzing, and Neil said, "Oh, he's going to be gutted when he sees how much time he's left on the hill." And it was like the opposite of Cedric. It was so dull, it sucked the life out of it. The production in Andorra was a mess, from the interviewer introducing Tani as Nina to the graphics for the elite women having male riders in to the horrible drone shots. It was terrible. And I work in a kind of similar field, event production, with a broadcast element. And if you win a competitive tender, like the bare minimum that you do in the first year is that it's as good as the previous company. But this was nowhere near what Red Bull had delivered. Then Leidenvale, I don't know what happened, but that was probably the best production of a mountain bike race I've ever seen. The errors were gone. The drone work was fantastic. Miriam was good in co-commentary. Aaron was amazing. And I just can't figure out how you go from one to the other so quickly. Like, I wondered if it was because there was no XC in Leidenvale. Did they put a different team on it? What have you guys seen, and what do you think?
Well, it was the first time actually. Well, Andorra, I kind of look back, but Ludovic was the first time I looked like semis and final at home.
Yeah.
And I like you, I was surprised because Andorra is just crazy. Like, we had a big chat about it with the women because Tani got third, didn't she?
Yeah.
In Andorra, they showed 37 seconds of a run in finals. She got third.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy. We'll promise they're gonna show whole runs.
Yeah.
She got not even like 40 seconds of a run shown. Like, you couldn't see anything. So yes, that was like shocking to us as well, because we were like, well, this is not what the riders were promised, and the riders have to like ride more, perform more, but then they don't really get the same coverage as before. So, and then Ludovic happened, and then they showed a longer section as well. But I realized I need to like still do some stats on this, but I think they show more of the men, the top men, than the women. Like, I could be wrong with this, but like sometimes also the way interviews were introduced sometimes didn't work, but Ludovic were much better. Definitely having Miriam there and Aaron there, and then also Charlie on the last one was really something that worked good. That was like way better.
Have you watched much of the
coverage? I can't know why it changed that much. I would think maybe this like a local team that's doing it. Oh no, I don't know.
Yeah, it was like it was a completely different team doing it. My next question was going to be: are the big teams still supporting ESO, or are they losing trust as well? But I've heard there's up to 7 teams leaving racing next season, world level racing. As I mentioned earlier, it seems pretty clear that GT are one of them, Mondrake are another, then there's Lapierre, Ibis and Da Vinci in EDR. It's not looking good, is it?
Yeah, it almost seems like with the industry being on a bit of a downward turn, coupled with whatever the hell is going on with the World Cups, just seems like everybody's pissed off. Initially, after the first few, we were kind of thinking it was just us privateers and smaller teams that were annoyed and all the big teams were happy. But after the last 3 weeks in Europe, nobody's happy. Any team, managers, cameramen, athletes, everybody's pissed off about something. And the big thing that I've picked up on over the last few weeks is that I think a lot of these kind of mid-sized teams and smaller teams and privateers, everyone's just going to fuck it off and just go off and do European Cups, Nationals, Crankworks, because it's pointless. You're not wanted there. It's a hostile environment. Now it's top 30. There's far fewer people who have even a chance of going on to race. Pits are a shambles. Every time you sign on, you're given different bands or no bands or some lift passes. There's no continuity at any event. In Leger, pits were... everyone had to keep moving. And then in Ludenville, it was just really easy. You could pit where you wanted, but then in Andorra, it was a talk. So everything's just... yeah, it's just rubbish. And it's going to be interesting next week and the week after, because usually the North American ones are so chill because there's quite a lot of space to park. There's less people there. And honestly, I've got some people coming with me who haven't done World Cups before. And, I've said to them, normally in North America, it's more chilled and but you can just guarantee they're going to turn it. They're going to somehow do something to make it impossible. They're going to try and fix something that didn't need fixing. They're going to, in the process, break it. So, yeah, I mean, I personally feel like I'm getting out at the right time. Like, obviously, I'm still going to be running my program and I'm not ready to disclose what we're going to be doing. But, yeah, I'm certainly feel like I'm getting out at the right time. And
saw some reports today online that Global Cycling Network's up for sale. And it's... really? He's lost 16 million and 10 million in the last 2 years.
Wow.
So I don't know if they hold the contract. I don't know who exactly. ESO own the contract, but I don't know if they're owned by Global Cycling Network now or if that's a Discovery thing or whatever. But then on the other side, there's rumours of propane coming back in. YT going big next season.
I hadn't heard that Mondraker were finished. What I'd heard was that MS was done. Mondraker were running their own thing. That's what I'd heard. But whether that's true or not, it's all speculation.
So, Team Rumours. Let's start with those riders on GT. I've heard Jess Blewett's already signed for someone else. Any ideas who that might be, Emmy?
Not really, but Propane needs to have a girl, so maybe Propane.
Yeah.
I haven't really talked to her because she was obviously injured after Hardline, so she went home.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously it's we haven't been communicating, but
it seems
it's
pretty
cool
clear
that she found something. Then she's solid rider, so.
Yeah. It seems pretty clear GT is packing up. So any word on where Ryan or Ethan are going? Ryan would be a great prospect, wouldn't he?
Mm-hmm.
The big thing is when you look at. So I was chatting with one of my juniors' parents earlier, and in Leger, my run was good. I was 61st in the men's. I would have been 8th in junior with that time. So that means next year, not all of those guys are second-year juniors, but some of them are. Every week you've got that number of juniors qualifying, and say 4 or 5, 6 of them are moving up.
Yeah.
Now, they're making the pits smaller by pissing everyone off and make it harder for these smaller teams, these mountain bike teams to operate. Where are all these riders going to go? Trek aren't all of a sudden going to have a 10-rider team. No. Syndicate aren't all of a sudden going to have 8 riders in the paddock. Emmy, you guys in Pivot aren't all of a sudden going to sign 5 more riders.
Wow.
All these new talented riders are coming through. There's there's only a few of us that have announced we're retiring. I do think more people will retire this year because a lot of guys who used to qualify now aren't. But my point is you've got Ryan, you've got Ethan, you've got these juniors, they're all coming through. Some teams are closing down. Where the hell is everyone going to go?
Yeah.
There aren't going to be enough seats.
Mm.
So, strange rumour, and this was on the Vital thread. Laurie Greenland off the syndicate?
Nah, I don't believe it.
I can't see that.
I haven't heard anything, and I feel like he's like on a good vibe with Jackson as well, and
Yeah.
like the bike is working really good. So
Him and Steve get on well. He's not won a race yet at Syndicate, so he's going to be desperate to stay to tick that box. I can't see him wanting rid of him.
So Greg did an interview, I don't know if you've seen it, with Win after the last round, and he sounded like he might be retiring from the tone of how he was speaking. Have you seen that?
Yeah, on the Win TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, he seemed like he'd almost made his peace with it, didn't he? But
Yeah.
at the same time, like, if someone's going to pay him to race World Cups, he's clearly still fast enough. He's getting podiums and top tens. So who knows what he'll decide to do.
So Valley moving on from Trek? Yes? No?
I'd heard it.
yeah, she's moving on. She's moving on, and I think she was just like.
Would you say moving
Also,
on?
she was not on Trek Factory Racing. She was on a smaller team, and with the result that she's getting, being on a structure where she's like in
Would
a
you say
bigger
she's
structure, I think.
Would you say
it's-
she's moving on, or would you say she's moving back?
Haha.
That might be a clue for the listeners.
Yeah, that
without
might be a
us saying.
clue. That might be a clue.
Yeah. So, run and done. 2.
See, somebody had told me that Commensal wanted him, but I'd heard that Mondraker had a hard on for him in their new non-MS team. So
Okay.
Mm.
Oh, he's
Couple
got to
of
go
them
to
have-
Commensal muck off. Come on.
He would like fit well in there, but
He'd
the
fit
problem is
well.
I don't know if they're like taking
French
people
enough.
that are not French speaker. To be honest, I think they
Yeah.
tried in the past
He's wild
and they're
enough.
struggling.
He's the right kind of rider, isn't he? He's wild enough. But yeah, I can see
Yeah.
what you're saying.
But I think he probably have. It depends a little bit on his end of the season. But he's so consistent this year. He had like trouble with his wrist or whatever.
Yeah.
But he could be like also a surprise rider for the last 2 rounds and like get advantage
Yeah.
from that to like make a move. Yeah.
Yeah. And there was some interview with Loic, I think, on the Full Attack. But it's in French.
Yeah.
After Dak got second to him,
Mm-hmm.
and he said some comment about Dak doesn't even have a team or something like that.
yeah, so I think that team, they're just at that time where contracts are due for renewal.
Is this intense? Yeah.
Yeah. So I hadn't heard the team was folding. All I'd heard from reliable source was that contracts were just up for renewal. Discussions were going on.
Yeah.
Whether anyone else has heard more on top of that, I'm not sure. But
Do you think Finn's going to stay?
no idea.
No, I don't know. I think they are developing the bike. The bike is really like
Yeah.
his little baby.
Is there a better chance to
So-
win anywhere else? If you're on that team, that is the best chance to win, isn't it? You're still
Yeah.
going to have to beat Loic somewhere
Yeah.
else. in Gordon, so
Yeah. No, I wouldn't see him move, but I mean, you never know.
And Dean Lucas retiring, so
Yeah.
he's going to be. He's got 2 races left. I hope we can get Dean on the show to do 20 questions with you as well,
Yeah.
Jack, at the end of the end of the season.
I'll speak to him about it in America. I'm sure.
Yeah.
So someone might go to Scott then. Someone.
Oh yeah, that's a little rumor I've got. I know that Gonzalo's riding with Scott at the end.
Oh yeah, he's done
Um,
well.
obviously he's supported him at the last couple, and it sounds like they're interested in him for next year. So I think that'll probably depend on the rest of his season. But yeah, he certainly deserves a shot because he's fast and he's starting to make it work. So
Anybody else you could think who might go to Scott, Emmy? No.
Because like in the development team that they have, there's some guys, Châtenay, Garcin, they're like doing good, they're qualifying.
Yeah.
But they're not like
Yeah.
Gonzalo was doing. Like
Yeah.
it was still a little bit missing.
Yeah.
But I mean, they could do it in the last 2 rounds. I don't know. There always been good riders also in the mud. So if it's get crazy up there, it could be. It could be up for anything.
Jack, 2 races to go in your career. You're finishing on your favourite track, Mont Saint Anne. How are you feeling about it?
Yeah, positive to be fair. I mean, across those 3 weeks, like the better split times I've had have been on the fast sections. even in Leger, my run that I didn't qualify with, I was 12th fastest through the last sector, and I think I was about 30th through the top sector. So Mont Saint Anne's flat out suits me down to the ground. But I mean, ultimately, mate, I'm just enjoying it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, in Leger, I couldn't be annoyed. I'd had a good run, and there were 60 riders that were faster than me. I was a bit fucked off with Laurie. Like, he decided not to race. He couldn't have decided that before quali. I'll be having a word with him in snowshoe. Come on, mate. Next time, just throw
Can't have it all, Jack. Can't have it all.
Just throw the old man a bone. You know what I mean? I've already threatened Harry Malloy. If he does that to me again, we're going to have words.
Well, but best of luck. When are you heading out?
We fly out on Monday the 25th. So normally we go a little earlier, but now I've got Blake. I'm trying to minimise unnecessary lengths to road trips. So fly on a Monday, drive straight there, and crack on with it. So hopefully it won't be snowing.
And Emmy, you're not heading out.
No, I had to decide quite a little bit earlier, and obviously we didn't know how Camille was gonna do, and now she's doing okay, but like still she's not driving, and she might have also. I think I just wanted to support her during this time, and being away working, I was just like not feeling 100% confident I will be able to enjoy being away and stuff like that. So I had to decide a week after, and I was like, no way, I can't imagine myself being away. But it was my last race there in snowshoe, so I always enjoy going back, but I guess I will probably enjoy it even a bit better if it's snowing and I'm in front of my TV with a blanket and Jack is freezing on the hill. No, I'm excited to see how everything folds out from the outside. Would be a good experience too.
Cool. Well, I think that's about all we've got time for. Apologies to any of the racers who did amazing things that we've missed. There was so much to cover. Thanks to the wonderful sponsors of the show, Hope Technology, JTech Suspension, Revolution Bike Park, Ride Southern Spain, Schwalbe and SingleTrackWorld.com. If you're enjoying the podcast, I'm sure you know what to do by now. Please subscribe so you don't miss an episode, and if you've got a second, please drop us a review. Alternatively, give us a follow on Instagram at Making Up the Numbers Racing or Facebook.com/MakingUpTheNumbers. Thanks for listening. We'll be back after Mont Saint Anne.